let's get making. Hello and welcome to another episode from Bug Realms. I'm Bugman Sam, and today we're going to be making a few things. We're going to be setting up an enclosure for our Egyptian predatory beetles that you saw at the end of the last video. If you haven't watched that yet, feel free to scroll back and have a look. We're also going to be making a hide for the Egyptian predatory beetles. We're going to be making a hide for the hissing cockroaches. We're going to make a water dish for both the cockroaches and the predatory beetles, and we're also going to make a food dish for the cockroaches. Don't need a food dish for the predatory beetles because they'll have live prey in there scurrying around anyway, and they'll just catch them there. So first off, we'll do the boring bit first. Here I just have a plain plastic storage box, and I've drawn on where I'm going to be making ventilation holes. Now in the future I may edit this and cut a bigger hole and put a mesh topping to it for better ventilation. You might be wondering why I'm using a storage box. One, it's cheaper. Two, using plastic is far easier to clean and keep sterile. Three, it's lightweight. And four, it is stackable. So yes, you can keep inverts in storage boxes, you just have to do it correctly. These tend to be fine with things like heat mats on as well. They wouldn't be so good with any other form of heating though. I wouldn't risk it with that type of plastic. But for what we're using it for, it should be absolutely fine. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to try and fast forward a little bit of the drilling of the ventilation holes here, and then we'll get to the fun making part. So here we go. So here we have it. As you can see here, all the holes for ventilation. I did make a slight crack in it somewhere here, a little bit gutted, but it won't really affect anything. So it's just going to be a simple case, putting it on. I might add some ventilation holes to the side at some point as well for better airflow, but there you have it, sorted. So now we'll get to the fun part. Okay guys, what we're going to do now, we're going to start by making the predatory beetle hide. So all I've got here is a toilet tube. That's it. This isn't going to remain a part of the hide. I'm just using it to show you how it's going to work. Now, I'm going to be using expanding foam, which we have here. Always wear your gloves with expanding foam, because if that gets on your skin and it cures, it's going to be a very painful experience to get it off. Most come with gloves provided, and you want ventilation, so I've got my windows open right now. So what we're going to do is we're going to start to cover this tube, but we're going to fill the back part. There we are. We're going to go right round the edges. Now, don't worry if you think this is going to turn out too big, because later we carve it. So now I'm just going to be looking for any little excess holes around the edges. Doesn't matter about on top. Got to get right underneath. Okay, now that's all that we need to do. So what I've done, I've covered the back, the front is still left open. Now this will expand further, but like I said, we're going to be carving it later. So now we're going to do the same thing but slightly different to make the roaches hide. Bear with me one moment. Okay, so now for the roaches, because they're bigger, and there's 5 of them, whereas we only have 2 of the beetles, I have sellotaped 2 tubes together. So this is going to give a wider hide. And we're going to do the same process that we've just done with that one again. First off, we hold him down, get the back going, and the edges. Then the top. Find any gaps. Although it expands, I have noticed from making other things that the gaps do become noticeable around the edging. Okay, I've done a little bit far on the edge on this one, so I'm just going to try and push it back a little. Doesn't matter if it looks a bit misshapen, because we're going to be messing with the shape of it when it's cured. Okay, so now we have exactly what we did before, but with a larger one. And now we will move on to making a water dish for both species. Okay, so we've got the two hides off camera here. You can see the edge of the roach one here. Now we're going to do two water dishes, one for the roach, one for the predatory beetles. So to start off, we're just going to make a little circular layer like so, and again, there we are. Now, my daughter collected some limpet shells for me. Now, although there is a bit of discoloration, I have cleaned inside. I only rinsed around the outside, but I've cleaned inside. I've also put a bit of sandpaper to the inside just to make sure. Now, we've got to try and push these into the blobs. Like so. Got to try and keep them quite flat so that they're straight. That's one. Second one. Again, don't matter if it's dirty on the outside very much, as long as the inside has been cleaned thoroughly. And push it in. Again, if you push it a bit too far, don't worry, because again, these are going to be more things we're going to be messing around carving with. And then last but not least, we do need a food dish for the roaches, so I'm just going to go get that now. Okay, here we go. So we're going to do the same again. Try and keep that flat. There we are, just swirl it round. Now I've got a little glass dish here, a lot bigger as you can see. I'm going to push that in like so. That's now flat, so we're going to go a bit round the edge. Like so. Again, got a string here, doesn't matter, none of it matters because we're going to be carving bits out. Okay, now we've got to wait for it to cure. So it's recommended to leave it 48 hours, although 24 hours is fine, and in my experience most of the time you can do it in 8 or 16 depending on the thickness that you have put it out there. So yeah, I'll give it an attempt tomorrow, and we'll see how that goes, and I'll be back with you then. Okay, so now we're on day 2. This hasn't quite had 24 hours to cure, but as you can see, they have grown quite a bit. Here's one of the hides. This is the smaller one we did. See how large it's got, but that doesn't matter. So what we need to do next, we need to carve a little bit out. So I'm going to do a little bit to show you to start with, and then we'll time lapse it along. So we want this bit to be quite flat along the top. So pretty simple. All comes off in hard chunks. You can see it's completely cured inside. It's not wet, it's not sticky. Don't need my gloves anymore. Now we're going to attempt to try and slope some bits down. Now I'm going to speed this back up because I don't want the video to be too long, and I'll see you in a moment. we have it. They're all nice and carved out. What I did is I also took a bit of sandpaper to them just to go around some of the edging, smooth certain bits off. I'll never make them perfect. I don't want to make them perfect. It takes the character out of them. But just a word of advice, you may want to wear an apron or something, because I don't know how well this will pick it up, but I am absolutely covered now in little foam bits. So I'll just show you quickly. So here we have it. Water dish, food, roach hide, and predatory beetle hide. Alright, so next step, we're going to paint them with some child paint, just because it's non-toxic. Now you might be thinking, oh well, that's going to come off with the humidity. I will show you what I will do after to stop that happening. I'm not going to film the painting process because you all know how to paint. I'm just going to use a simple black coat, and I'll show you in a moment. Okay, and we're back. So as you can see, everything's been painted. Some of it's still got a bit of drying to do. Water bowl there, hide, and also the other one was a food bowl, and the two water ones here. So next I'm going to seal them with a clear silicone. So this particular silicone is used in aquariums, so as far as I can tell there, if it's going to be aquarium safe, it should be safe for the inverts too. Now you don't want to have to see me silicone absolutely everything, so what I'm going to do is a demonstration with this one, the smallest one that we've got. As you can see, there's a few imperfections with the paint. That really doesn't matter for what I'll show you afterwards. Went really roughly over the bottom because that bit doesn't matter either. So, oh, just got to swap hands. I'm just going to put a bit on, like so, just a blob. And then I'm just going to messily put it on with my hands. You can use a brush. The silicone is very thick, and I just find it easier pushing it on with my hands. So this won't only seal the paint, but I will show you what we're going to do next. A bit more. Going to put it straight to my hands this time. Okay. Right round. Got to be a bit more careful with this than you do with the paint, because we have to really cover all the little crevices going around the edge. Bit more. Now, this particular one, I didn't really matter which was which, but this one, just for an example, can be the one for the roaches. Now the roaches have a cocoa fibre substrate. Just kind of looks like soil on the bottom of their enclosure. So what we're going to do to make this fit in and it's not just black, bear with me, I have a bowl. This is what I was talking about. It isn't completely dry, it's supposed to be completely dry, but I'll show you what I mean. So I've got the silicone around the edge, it's going to act as sort of like a painty type glue. We're just going to chuck this all on there. Don't worry about it getting in the bowl, getting on your hands. Just cover it like so. Pat it all the way around. Shake it off, and again round, shake it off. You see? So now when that's placed in the bottom, it's going to match the substrate on the bottom. Now I'm going to do the same to the bottom of here, just because of when the humidity levels rise. I don't know how that will go with the foam. So I'm going to seal off the bottom of this one. So this one here for the roach, obviously. This one is also for a roach, and this hide here also for the roaches. So these are all going to be done the same way I've done this one. So silicone over, cocoa fibre patted on. Whereas these, as these are for our predatory beetles, now their substrate is sand, because they're from Egypt. So what we're going to do, same method with silicone, but we're going to put sand on the top. Now this is the first time I've ever tried it with sand, so it's just going to be it's just going to be guesswork and see how well that turns out. So I'll show you the finished product in just 1 second. And we're back again. Sorry guys, I've had to switch rooms. My girlfriend wanted the TV for a bit, and I've kind of been hogging the front room for quite a while now. So, it's done, at last. Now the sound effect didn't come out quite as cool as I thought it was going to, but it's still pretty awesome. So I'm going to show you the finished product now. There we go, here we are guys. So you can see we've got the effect here from the cocoa fibre for our little water dish, food bowl, the hide here, and then we've got the sand effect here for our predatory beetles. There's their water bowl and the hide. How cool is that? You see where you've got the bits of the black showing through from the undercoat, makes it look a little bit more real. But again, like I said earlier, I kind of like the flaws and the parts in the making. It makes it personal, it makes it your own, and hopefully you guys at home can make something cool too. But as I did state in the start that we were going to do stuff for the predatory beetles, you probably kind of wanted to see them again. Well, I'm not going to let you down there. I did manage to catch a little feeding clip randomly one evening. Normally they weren't taking the prey as soon as I put it in. I think from when I first perched them they were probably well fed then, they weren't that hungry. I gave it a little while longer, a few more days, chucked one in, and I didn't capture the initial grasp, but don't worry, because it does escape and you get to see it grab it again. So I'm going to finish this video off with a little feeding clip of our predatory beetles. I hope you enjoyed this video as much as I did making it. I love these little arts and crafts things, so enjoy the final clip guys, and please don't forget to subscribe and like. And also from the previous video, there's still time for you to name the bugs that were in the unboxing. Alright, cheers guys, enjoy, thanks.